Captain Rachel Foster stood at the bridge window of the U.S. Nemesis, watching Earth's last sunset. Her hands were clasped behind her back, and her face showed no emotion. But inside, her heart was racing. In just 24 hours, the Galactic Concordat would attack Earth if they didn't surrender. The massive ship floated in Earth's orbit, its black hull reflecting the orange glow of the setting sun. At nearly 2 miles long, the Nemesis was humanity's greatest achievement, and their last hope. "Captain," a voice called from behind her. "Dr. Miller is here with his report." She turned to see Dr. David Miller, a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes, walking onto the bridge. His lab coat was wrinkled, showing he had worked through another night. "Tell me you have good news, Doctor," Rachel said, gesturing for him to approach. "The quantum drive is ready," he said, holding up a tablet. "We've done all the tests we can. It works better than we hoped." He paused, looking down at his feet. "But we've never used it in real combat. We don't know for sure what will happen." Rachel nodded slowly. They had no choice but to use it, ready or not. The Concordat's massive fleet waited just beyond Mars' orbit. 500 ships against Earth's last remaining forces of just 30 vessels. Only the Nemesis stood a real chance against them. A loud beep filled the bridge, making everyone jump. "Captain," called out the communications officer, "incoming transmission from the Concordat." "On screen," Rachel ordered, straightening her uniform. The main screen lit up, showing the alien face of High Commander Zextal. His purple skin and 4 eyes were familiar to every human by now. The face of humanity's possible extinction. "Your time grows short, humans," Zextal said, his translator making his words sound metallic. "Your species has been deemed too dangerous to join our civilization. Submit to protected status under our rule, or face elimination. You have 20 hours remaining." Protected status meant becoming slaves, nothing more. Rachel's jaw tightened. "We have received your message, High Commander. We will respond when we are ready." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Do not test our patience, Captain Foster. Your primitive ship does not frighten us." The screen went black. "Primitive ship," Dr. Miller whispered, shaking his head. If they only knew. Rachel turned to her crew. 20 faces looked back at her, representing the best of humanity. They had trained for months for this moment, learning to use the ship's revolutionary systems. "Status report," she called out. "Quantum drive at full power," reported Chief Engineer Kevin Martinez from his station. "All systems green." "AI integration complete," added Lieutenant Brian Cooper, his hands moving across his console. "The neural network is stable. Weapons and shields at maximum." Security Officer Linda Parker confirmed. "All defensive systems ready." Rachel walked to her command chair and sat down. "Send word to all Earth forces. Operation Last Stand begins in 6 hours. We'll show the Concordat exactly what this primitive ship can do." Dr. Miller stepped closer. "Captain, you should know. The quantum drive calculations suggest we can do more than just phase through their shields. In theory, we could." He hesitated. "Could what, Doctor?" "We could phase a torpedo directly into their ship's cores. One hit could destroy their largest vessels." Rachel's eyes widened slightly. Such a capability would change everything. The Concordat rely on their superior shield technology to dominate other species. If the Nemesis could bypass those shields completely. "Keep that information secure," she ordered. "It's our ace in the hole." The next few hours passed in tense preparation. The crew ran final checks on all systems while Rachel studied the Concordat fleet formations one last time. Their arrogance made them predictable. They always used the same attack patterns. As the deadline approached, Rachel made her final rounds through the ship. In the engine room, she found Kevin Martinez fine-tuning the quantum drive. In the AI core, Brian Cooper was running last-minute diagnostics with the ship's neural systems. Every crew member was focused, ready. Finally, with just 1 hour remaining, Rachel returned to the bridge. Earth hung below them, beautiful and blue. Somewhere down there, billions of people waited to learn their fate. "Send our response to the Concordat," Rachel ordered. The communications officer nodded. "Channel open." Rachel stood tall, her voice firm. "High Commander Zextal, this is Captain Rachel Foster of the U.S. Nemesis. Here is humanity's answer to your demands. Come and get us." She signaled to cut the transmission. "Battle stations," she commanded. "Prepare to show the galaxy why you don't corner humanity." Warning klaxons sounded throughout the ship as the crew rushed to their positions. The Nemesis's engines hummed to life, its revolutionary quantum drive pulsing with blue energy. The last battle for Earth was about to begin. The Concordat fleet moved like a dark cloud across space, their ships gleaming under the distant sun. Lieutenant Brian Cooper watched them approach on the Nemesis's main screen, his fingers dancing across the neural interface controls. 5 minutes until they're in range, he reported. The bridge crew remained silent, all eyes fixed on the approaching armada. Captain Foster sat in her command chair, calm but alert. "Begin quantum drive sequence," she ordered. The ship hummed as its revolutionary engine powered up, filling the hull with a soft blue glow. "Enemy ships launching fighters," Security Officer Linda Parker announced, detecting weapon locks from multiple vessels. Dr. Miller stood behind Cooper's station, watching the quantum drive readings. "The system is stable," he said. "But remember, we've never tested it under combat conditions." The first shots came seconds later. Green energy beams from the Concordat ships lit up space, racing toward the Nemesis. Captain Foster waited until the last possible moment. "Now," she commanded, "activate quantum phase." The ship shimmered, and the enemy fire passed harmlessly through its hull. Gasps of surprise echoed through the bridge. Even Dr. Miller looked shocked. The system worked better than they'd hoped. Reading confusion in enemy communications, the comm officer reported, grinning. "They're trying to figure out what happened." Rachel allowed herself a small smile. "Let's show them what else we can do." "Mr. Cooper, activate predictive systems." Brian nodded, connecting deeper with the ship's eye. Through the neural interface, he could see patterns in the enemy's movements before they happened. "I can predict their next attack formation," he said. "They're going to try to surround us." "Not if we move first," Rachel replied. "Battle stations. Prepare quantum torpedoes." The Nemesis accelerated, its engines leaving trails of blue light. The massive ship moved with impossible grace, dancing between enemy vessels. Each time the Concordat fired, their shots passed through empty space, or through the Nemesis itself. "Target their command ship," Rachel ordered. "Let's test Dr. Miller's theory." The crew watched as a single quantum torpedo launched from the Nemesis. It phased through the command ship's shields like they weren't there, then solidified inside the vessel. The resulting explosion tore the alien ship apart. Silence fell over the bridge. Nobody had ever seen a Concordat capital ship destroyed so easily. "By the stars," Dr. Miller whispered. "It actually worked." The enemy fleet's perfect formation broke. Ships scattered in confusion, their confident attack turning into chaos. The Nemesis moved between them like a predator, its quantum torpedoes finding target after target. "Enemy ships are pulling back," Linda reported. "They're trying to regroup near Mars." Rachel stood from her chair. "Don't let them escape. They need to understand what they're dealing with." The Nemesis pursued the retreating fleet, its quantum drive giving it speed no other ship could match. Brian Cooper's connection with the ship's AI grew stronger, letting him predict and counter every enemy move. "Captain," he called out suddenly, "I'm detecting something interesting in their ship signatures. The quantum drive isn't just letting us phase through matter. It's showing us weaknesses in their design." Dr. Miller rushed to Cooper's station, studying the readings. "He's right. The quantum field is revealing flaws in their technology. Things we never could have seen before." Rachel walked to their station, looking at the data. "Can we use this?" "Better than that," Cooper replied. "We can share it with the rest of Earth's fleet. Show them exactly where to hit the enemy ships." Rachel nodded and opened a channel to Earth's remaining vessels. As she shared the data, the tide of battle turned even further. Earth's ships, though fewer in number, began targeting the specific weaknesses the Nemesis had discovered. The mighty Concordat fleet, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, began to crumble. Enemy ships jumping to faster than light speed. Linda announced, "They're retreating." The bridge crew cheered as the last Concordat ships vanished into FTL. Their first major battle had ended in victory, but Rachel knew this was just the beginning. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. The Nemesis performed beyond expectations. "And tell them," she paused, looking at her crew with pride, "tell them we found the key to beating the Concordat." Dr. Miller stepped forward. What they thought was just a primitive ship turned out to be their worst nightmare. "And we're just getting started," Rachel added, watching the stars where the enemy fleet had disappeared. "They'll be back, and next time, they'll bring everything they have." Brian Cooper smiled at his console, still connected to the ship's systems. "Let them come," he said. "The Nemesis will be ready." The quantum drive hummed softly, its blue glow illuminating the bridge as Earth's most powerful ship turned toward home, leaving the wreckage of Concordat vessels in its wake. The galaxy would never be the same. News of the Nemesis's victory spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Commander Susan Hayes stood in the ship's diplomatic chamber, facing the holographic images of 3 alien representatives. Their species had been neutral in the war until now. "The Concordat has lied to us all," she told them, her voice firm but friendly. "They aren't as powerful as they want us to believe." The alien diplomats, one tall and insect-like, another short and furry, and the third looking like a floating crystal, watched footage from the battle near Mars. They saw the Nemesis phase through enemy shields and destroy ships that had been thought unbeatable. "Impossible," the insect-like alien clicked. "No one has ever defeated a Concordat battle fleet." "We did more than defeat them," Susan replied. "We showed that their technology isn't special. They've been bullying the galaxy with tricks and lies." The crystal alien glowed brighter. "Many worlds suffer under Concordat rule. If what you show us is true—" "It is true," Captain Foster said, entering the chamber, "and we're willing to share our findings with friendly species." The alien representatives looked at each other. This changed everything. Meanwhile, in another part of the ship, Lieutenant Brian Cooper made an interesting discovery. He sat at his station, connected to the ship's eye, when patterns in Concordat communications caught his attention. "Captain," he called over the intercom, "you need to see this." Rachel arrived quickly, followed by Dr. Miller. Brian showed them the data streams. "The Concordat isn't one united group," he explained. "They're fighting among themselves. Some species want to continue the war, others want to make peace." "Can we use this?" Rachel asked. Dr. Miller nodded excitedly. "If we show their people how easily we defeated their unbeatable ships, more will question their leaders." "Their entire empire is built on fear," Susan added, joining them. "Take away that fear, and their empire crumbles," Rachel finished. Over the next few days, the Nemesis visited several neutral worlds. At each stop, Commander Hayes showed their leaders proof of Concordat weaknesses. Many were angry to learn they had been deceived for so long. The ship's AI helped Brian decode more secret messages. They learned that 5 species wanted to leave the Concordat. 2 had already stopped sending ships to fight. "We're winning without firing a shot," Susan told the captain one evening. "Every world that turns against them makes them weaker." But not everyone was happy. Hardline Concordat leaders demanded action. They sent assassins to neutral worlds that talked with humans. They threatened their own people who spoke of peace. "They're getting desperate," Rachel said during a staff meeting. "That makes them dangerous." She was right. The next day, 3 Concordat battleships attacked a neutral world that had welcomed the Nemesis. But this time, Earth was ready. The Nemesis dropped out of quantum phase right between the attackers and their target. Other Earth ships appeared too, using the weaknesses they had learned to fight better. "You're breaking the Concordat's own laws," Rachel broadcast to the attacking ships. "Stand down." The enemy commander laughed. "Laws? We make the laws." "Not anymore," Rachel replied calmly. The battle was short. The Nemesis' quantum torpedoes made quick work of 2 ships. The third surrendered. When its crew came aboard as prisoners, many seemed relieved. "Our leaders didn't give us a choice," one alien officer told Susan. "They're afraid of you. Not just your ship. They're afraid your ideas will spread." Word of this victory traveled even faster than the first. More worlds began to question Concordat rule. Some openly refused to obey their orders. Back on the Nemesis, the crew watched as their success grew. Every day brought news of another world standing up to their old masters. Humanity didn't just build a better ship. Susan told the captain as they watched a group of freed worlds sign treaties with Earth. "We gave the galaxy hope." Rachel nodded, but her face was serious. "The Concordat's leaders won't accept this. They'll gather everything they have left for one big attack." "Let them come," Brian said from his station. "The Nemesis isn't alone anymore." He was right. Outside the ship's windows, vessels from newly freed worlds trained alongside Earth ships, learning to use the weaknesses the Nemesis had discovered. The days of Concordat rule were ending, but the final battle, the biggest one yet, was still to come. "Send word to Earth," Rachel ordered. "Tell them to prepare the rest of the fleet. The real test is about to begin." Chief Engineer Kevin Martinez stared at the quantum drive readings with wide eyes. After weeks of study, he finally understood how it worked. The secret wasn't just in the technology, it was in how it bent the rules of space itself. "Captain Foster," he called over the intercom. "I need to show you something in engineering." When Rachel arrived, Kevin pointed to his screens. "We can build more ships like the Nemesis," he said excitedly. "I've figured out how to copy the quantum drive." Dr. Miller, who had joined them, looked at the plans. "He's right," he said with a smile. "And he's made it simpler. Smaller ships could use this version." Rachel's face lit up. This was the breakthrough they needed. "How long to build the first new drive?" 2 weeks, Kevin answered. "Maybe less with help from our new allies." Word spread quickly through Earth's shipyards. Teams of human and alien engineers worked day and night, building new quantum drives. The first test ship, smaller than the Nemesis but just as advanced, launched after just 12 days. Meanwhile, the Concordat was falling apart. Lieutenant Emily Watson, working in communications, picked up more secret messages. 3 more member species have turned against their leaders, she reported. They're destroying their own supply lines to hurt the Concordat fleet. Rachel gathered her officers to plan their next move. "If they can't move supplies, their ships can't fight," she said. "We need to hit their supply lines harder." Brian Cooper, still linked to the ship's AI, pulled up a map of Concordat space. "Their biggest supply base is here," he said, pointing to a distant star system. "If we take that out, their whole fleet starves," Kevin finished. The mission would be dangerous. The base was deep in enemy space, guarded by their strongest remaining ships. But now Earth had a secret weapon. 5 new vessels with quantum drives, ready for their first real fight. The attack began at dawn, Earth time. The Nemesis led the way, with the new ships following close behind. When they jumped into the target system, the Concordat forces were waiting. "Enemy ships detected," Linda Parker announced from her security station. 43 vessels, heavy weapons charge. Rachel stood from her command chair. "All ships, activate quantum drives. Show them what Earth's fleet can do." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. 6 Earth ships danced through enemy fire like ghosts, their quantum drives letting them attack from impossible angles. The Concordat fleet fired desperately, but couldn't land a single hit. "Their formation is breaking," Brian reported, his hands flying over his console. "They didn't expect all our ships to have quantum drives." The supply base's defenses fell quickly. As Earth's ships destroyed fuel tanks and supply warehouses, the Concordat fleet retreated in disorder. "Send the signal," Rachel ordered. Across Concordat space, rebel ships that had been waiting for this moment began their own attacks. Supply lines burned. Communication networks went dark. The mighty Empire's strength drained away. Back on the Nemesis, Kevin watched his quantum drive readings with pride. The new drives worked perfectly, he told the captain. "We can build more. Lots more." Earth's shipyards were already busy. Every day, more vessels received the new technology. But they didn't keep it all for themselves. Friendly alien worlds got the plans too. The Concordat kept their power by keeping others weak, Susan Hayes explained during a meeting. "We'll grow stronger by helping others grow strong with us." 3 days after the supply base attack, the Nemesis received an urgent message. The Concordat's supreme leaders had retreated to their home system. They were gathering every ship they had left for one final battle. "They're desperate," Rachel told her crew. "They know their empire is falling. This is their last chance to stop us." "Let them try," Kevin said confidently. "We're not the same enemies they attacked months ago. We're stronger now." He was right. Earth's fleet had grown from 30 ships to over 200. Many alien vessels fought alongside them now, all equipped with quantum drives. "Send word to all Allied ships," Rachel ordered. "Tell them to prepare for the final battle. The Concordat started this war." She paused, looking at her brave crew. "But we're going to finish it." As the Nemesis prepared for its greatest fight, the crew knew that history was about to change forever. The galaxy would never again fear the Concordat's power. The final battle for freedom was about to begin. Lieutenant Emily Watson sat at her communications station, her eyes fixed on streams of encoded Concordat messages. After months of study, their complex language had become like a second language to her. "Captain," she called out suddenly, "I found something big. The Concordat's deepest secrets. I can read them all now." Captain Foster and the bridge crew gathered around Emily's station. The decoded messages painted a shocking picture. The Concordat had been lying about their power for centuries. "Look at this," Emily said, pointing to one message. "Their biggest ships run on stolen technology. Most of their advanced weapons are copies from species they conquered." Dr. Miller shook his head in disgust. "They aren't superior at all. They just took others' work and claimed it as their own." But there was more. Emily found messages about hidden slave worlds where captured scientists were forced to work on weapons. The Concordat's leaders had built their empire on theft and lies. "We need to free those worlds," Rachel decided. She turned to Commander Hayes. "Susan, contact our allies. It's time to liberate everyone the Concordat has enslaved." The Nemesis led a fleet of 50 ships to the first slave world. They expected heavy resistance, but found something different. The guards surrendered as soon as the ships appeared. "They know the end is coming," Susan told the captain. "Even their own soldiers don't believe in them anymore." On each freed world, they found more scientists and engineers eager to help fight their old masters. Many had worked on the very technologies the Concordat claimed to have invented. "My people created the shield systems they use," one alien scientist told them. "They killed anyone who knew the truth." Meanwhile, Brian Cooper made another discovery through the ship's AI systems. "Captain, look at these readings," he said. "Every time we use our quantum drive near their ships, their systems get weaker. We're not just beating them. We're breaking their stolen technology." The news spread quickly through the galaxy. More species began asking Earth for protection, not from the Concordat's strength, but from their lies and tricks. Rachel stood on the Nemesis's bridge, watching as another group of freed worlds joined Earth's alliance. "Send a message to all Concordat worlds," she ordered. "Tell them what we've learned. Show them the proof." Emily transmitted the evidence, records of theft, proof of slavery, details of every lie the Concordat had told. On hundreds of worlds, people saw the truth for the first time. The response was explosive. Riots broke out on Concordat worlds. Ships refused to follow orders. Entire fleets changed sides, turning against their former masters. Their whole empire was built on fear and lies. Susan said, watching reports come in. Now everyone knows the truth, and they're not afraid anymore. But the Concordat's leaders wouldn't give up easily. They sent assassins to kill anyone who spoke against them. They destroyed their own cities to punish rebels. They threatened to use terrible weapons against innocent worlds. They're getting more dangerous, Linda Parker warned from her security station. Desperate people do desperate things. She was right. The next day, the Concordat launched attacks on 3 peaceful worlds, trying to show they were still powerful. But they didn't expect what happened next. The Nemesis arrived at the first world, leading a fleet of Earth and allied ships. Every vessel had quantum drive technology now, and all their crews knew the Concordat's weaknesses. Attention Concordat forces, Rachel broadcast. You're not fighting one ship anymore. You're not even fighting Earth anymore. You're fighting everyone you ever lied to, stole from, or enslaved. The battle was short. The Concordat ships, their stolen technology failing, didn't stand a chance against the combined fleet. Back on the Nemesis's bridge, Emily received new messages. More worlds were declaring independence. The Concordat's empire was falling apart piece by piece. They're retreating to their home system, Brian reported, gathering everything they have left. Rachel nodded. This was what they had been waiting for. Send word to all allied forces, she ordered. The Concordat is making its last stand. It's time to end this. As the Nemesis prepared for the final battle, its crew knew they were making history. They had done more than beat an enemy. They had shown the galaxy that bullies and thieves couldn't win forever. The end of the Concordat's reign was near, and a new age of freedom was about to begin. The Concordat's home system filled with warships. Thousands of vessels gathered around their capital planet, preparing for their last fight. The once mighty empire had been pushed back to its final stronghold. Security Officer Daniel Roberts walked quickly through the Nemesis corridors. Something wasn't right. The ship's internal sensors had picked up strange readings, and he needed to find out why. "Captain," he called over the comm, "I think we have a problem. Someone's been accessing the quantum drive controls from inside the ship." Rachel Foster frowned. "A spy." "Worse," Daniel replied. "I think they're trying to sabotage the drive before the final battle." The captain ordered an immediate search. Daniel led teams through every deck, checking every corner of the massive ship. In the lower engineering section, they found their answer. A hidden Concordat agent had disguised himself as a maintenance worker. When Daniel's team found him, he was trying to plant explosives near the quantum drive. "The Concordat will never fall," the spy shouted as they arrested him. "Our leaders have one final surprise for Earth." The spy's words proved true. As the Allied fleet gathered for their attack, the Concordat revealed their secret weapon, a massive flagship twice the size of any ship they'd used before. "Energy readings are off the charts," Kevin Martinez reported from engineering. "They've combined all their stolen technology into one vessel." Rachel stood on her bridge, watching the enemy flagship. It was impressive, but she saw something the Concordat had missed. By combining their stolen systems, they'd also combined all their weaknesses. "All ships, prepare for battle," she ordered. "Today we end this." The final battle began with a flash of light that lit up space itself. The Concordat flagship fired weapons that could tear planets apart. Allied ships scattered, dodging the massive energy beams. "They're desperate," Brian Cooper said from his station. "The flagship's systems are unstable. They're taking huge risks." Rachel nodded. "That's how we'll beat them. They're fighting with stolen power they don't fully understand." The Nemesis led the attack, its quantum drive glowing brighter than ever. Other Earth ships followed, each using the knowledge they'd gained about Concordat weaknesses. "Their shields are failing," Linda Parker reported. "The quantum fields are disrupting their stolen systems." But the Concordat flagship wouldn't go down easily. It launched hundreds of fighters and fired weapons in all directions. Several Allied ships were hit, their crews evacuating in escape pods. "We need to end this now," Rachel decided, before they destroy their own system trying to win. She ordered the Nemesis to move closer to the flagship, dodging its wild attacks. Kevin Martins pushed the quantum drive to its limits, making the ship phase in and out of normal space faster than ever before. "Target their main reactor," Rachel commanded. "All ships, focus your fire." The Allied fleet moved as one, hundreds of quantum-powered ships attacking together. The Concordat flagship's defenses began to crumble under the assault. Suddenly, Daniel Roberts noticed something on his security screens. "Captain, they're powering up some kind of super weapon. If it explodes, it'll destroy everything in the system, including their own people." Rachel made her decision instantly. "Emergency quantum jump. Take us inside their shields." The Nemesis vanished and reappeared right next to the massive flagship. They were so close, the crew could see individual windows on the enemy vessel. "Fire quantum torpedoes," Rachel ordered. "Target their weapon systems first." The torpedoes phased through the flagship's hull, appearing inside its most critical systems. The explosions ripped through the massive ship, shutting down its weapons and engines. "They're falling apart," Brian announced. "Their stolen technology is overloading." Rachel opened a channel to the enemy ship. "Concordat flagship, power down your systems and surrender. Don't sacrifice your crew for a lost cause." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the flagship's systems went dark. The mighty vessel that was supposed to save the Concordat's empire drifted powerless in space. "Enemy ships are standing down," Linda reported. "They're surrendering across the whole system." The bridge crew cheered. After months of fighting, after countless battles, the war was finally over. The Concordat's reign of terror had ended not with a massive explosion, but with a quiet surrender. "Send word to Earth," Rachel ordered with a smile. "Tell them the galaxy is free." 1 month after the final battle, Captain Rachel Foster stood in the Grand Hall of Earth's new Galactic Embassy. Representatives from hundreds of worlds had gathered to sign the Treaty of Unity. The Nemesis floated proudly in orbit above, a symbol of the revolution that had changed everything. Commander Susan Hayes walked up to her captain, holding a datapad. "The last Concordat leaders are in custody," she reported. "Their trials begin next week. Every species they ever wronged will have a chance to speak." Rachel nodded. The Concordat's fall had revealed even more of their crimes. But today wasn't about punishment. It was about building something new. "Captain Foster," a voice called. She turned to see Dr. David Miller approaching with several alien scientists. "We've been studying the quantum drive's effects on different technologies. What we've learned could change everything." The scientists explained how combining Earth's quantum technology with knowledge from other worlds could help everyone. Faster ships, better medical care, cleaner energy. The possibilities were endless. Brian Cooper joined them, no longer needing neural links to understand alien systems. "Every day we learn something new," he said. "Working together, we're all becoming stronger than the Concordat ever was." In the shipyards around Earth, Kevin Martinez supervised the construction of new vessels. But these weren't warships. They were exploration ships, designed to push deeper into space than anyone had gone before. "We're building bridges, not weapons," he told visitors. "The quantum drive isn't just for fighting. It's for bringing people together." Emily Watson had become Earth's chief translator, helping different species understand each other better. The Concordat kept worlds apart, she explained to Rachel. They were afraid people would unite against them. They were right. Security Officer Daniel Roberts now led a team protecting the new peace. "Some people still think like the Concordat," he reported. "They want power over others, but now we know how to spot them and stop them." Rachel walked through the hall, greeting representatives from worlds that had once been enemies. Former slaves talked with their liberators. Scientists shared ideas freely. This was what victory really looked like. The Nemesis never really forced the galaxy to kneel, she told her crew later. We just showed everyone they could stand up. A young alien child approached Rachel, looking up at her with all four eyes wide. Is it true? The child asked through a translator. Did your ship really beat the whole Concordat? Rachel smiled. No, she said kindly. One ship didn't beat them. All of us together did. The Nemesis just showed what was possible when we stopped being afraid. The signing ceremony began. Each world's representative added their mark to the treaty, promising to help and protect each other. Earth didn't demand special power or control. They had learned from the Concordat's mistakes. Leadership is earned, not taken, Susan said, watching the proceedings. Earth will guide because others trust us, not because we force them. As the day went on, Rachel received a message from Earth's government. The Nemesis would become a training ship, teaching crews from all species how to use quantum technology safely. Other Earth ships would do the same. Share the knowledge, Rachel told her crew. That's an order. Brian looked out a window at the gathered ships from dozens of worlds. Hard to believe it all started with one battle, he said. One ship that could do the impossible. Not impossible, Kevin corrected him. We just had to think differently. That's what really beat the Concordat. New ideas. As the sun set on the historic day, Rachel returned to the Nemesis. The mighty ship had earned its rest, but its work wasn't finished. There were still worlds to free, people to help, and a whole galaxy to explore. Where to next, Captain? Linda asked from her station. Rachel looked at the star map, now filled with friendly worlds where enemies had once been. Everywhere, she said. We have a lot of friends to visit. The Nemesis' quantum drive hummed to life, its blue glow now a symbol of hope instead of war. The ship that had helped free the galaxy was ready for its next mission, keeping that galaxy free. As they prepared to depart, Rachel looked at her crew, the best of humanity, who had helped change history. The real victory, she told them, isn't in making others kneel. It's in helping them stand. The Nemesis disappeared into quantum space, leaving Earth's crowded orbit for the endless stars. The ship that had started as humanity's last hope had become everyone's brightest future. The galaxy would never forget how one ship and one crew had changed everything. But more importantly, they would never forget the lessons they had learned together.